Good evening. My name is Annie Conboy, and this is my letters from the light side for the 3rd of June 2021. It's amazing how fast we're flying through the year, and I can't quite believe that we're in the 6th month of the year. So how fast is that? I'm finally back live streaming on YouTube and on Facebook, although I'm still not sure if the notifications are working. And by the way, I've got the cats in the room tonight, so we might have some cat interruptions as they want a bit of attention. However, that's all part of the energy that we're in. Nothing is kind of going quite perfect today or this week. You might have found since Mercury went retrograde that things are having to be done over again, or that things don't seem to quite connect up in the way that you need. So you might find that you feel like you're kind of going round in circles a little bit. However, Mercury retrograde is always an opportunity to enable us to have a look at old patterns. It very often brings old patterns back up, and it makes us reflect on those old patterns and take a look at where we're at in changing those patterns, because sometimes those patterns do need to change, reluctant as we may be to change them. Sorry, I'm trying to keep the cat out of the way of the camera on the iPad for the Facebook live stream. For whatever reason, it's obviously not recording or notifying people on Facebook. But anyway, not to worry. Oh, there goes a cat. As I was saying, one of the things that Mercury allows us to do when it's retrograde is to look back over our lessons from the past and to look back over our choices. And for me, it also gives me an opportunity to be at peace with my choices, to recognise that I was doing the best I could do at the time I could do it. That understanding that whatever we do, we do it informed by the choices in front of us. And we do it informed by what we know at that time. What we might know later down the line is very different. And you may sometimes find yourself looking back through a Mercury retrograde period, and it's with us most of the month, and thinking, oh, okay, I didn't do that well, that was wrong. And what I do want to encourage you, and what the guides want to encourage you, is to see it a different way, to look at the difference of if you were doing it now. Rafe is here, and I'm saying to him, I don't know why it's not working. Facebook again. And he's saying, well, if you were doing it differently. So it's recognising that if we were doing it differently, then maybe I would have checked the connection and done a little live, although I did that last week and it didn't work either. So just giving us the opportunity not to judge ourselves, but to look at what ways we could do it differently and whether that would produce outcomes that we were happy with. Or happier with, perhaps. He's smiling away because he knows that sometimes I'm not happy with any choice that I've got, and I just have to make a choice. So what you might also still find, because we are under the influence this year of ascension energy, is you may still find that you are getting quite vivid, strong dreams, that your sleep pattern might be disrupted by those dreams, and that you might come round from those dreams thinking, oh, that wasn't a very comfortable dream. We're doing a lot of healing of the earth. We're doing a lot of processing of our ancestors' emotions and actions, and we are helping to offload some of the heavy energy that's collected around the earth in the earth's aura. So that the dreaming that we're doing at this point is helping us to release that. So you might wake up from a dream and think, oh, that doesn't seem to apply to me, or why was I dreaming about that? It's part of the agreement that we had to become the healers of this planet. And so you might find yourself, in addition to looking after, your own stuff, you might find yourself also helping to look after the Earth's stuff. And Rafe is very keen to encourage you to see this as being of service. Sometimes I think we get a little bit puzzled about, well, how can I help and what can I do? But it's very clear that what we can do is we can help lighten the atmosphere. Sorry, I'm laughing because he's pointing. I've got a big map, a world map on the wall, and he's pointing and he said, all of that needs help, all of that needs help. And our positive energy flows, the way that we will work and choose to work with our guides and inspirers to do this clearing work is really important. Again, in this time of Mercury retrograde, I always expect the truths to come out. That happens an awful lot. The truth does get out there, and it's important for us to acknowledge that and to recognise what's going on in bringing to light the things that we need to acknowledge, talk about, take a look at and say, well, that was then. We didn't make the best choices. Now, informed by other things, we can make better choices. That's a key part of this. Make those better choices and steer our lives into more positive ways. Rafe is always bringing me little snippets of songs just to kind of get me thinking, to try and remind me. And today he brought me Space Oddity by David Bowie and Radio Gaga by Queen. And it's that sort of, it threw me back in time, like being in a time machine, I suppose. Those songs had a lot of memories attached to them for me. And as I was kind of reflecting on the person I was when I first heard those songs and how they made an impact on me, I recognised, part of the work that the guides do is to give us the messages to show how we've grown and developed. And so part of this week, you might have been getting little nudges, little niggles, little throwbacks. Somebody might mention a game you played when you were younger, or might mention a situation in your work when you were younger, or, oh, why did you join that job and start that job? These are all the little Mercury prompts to get you to kind of value everything that you've experienced in your life. If we don't value it, we don't keep it at the surface of our mind, and we don't then recognise we've got skills and abilities because we're not valuing them. And a key part of this ascension process is to uncover the skills that you don't even realise or recognise you've got, and to value those skills. One of the key things for me, especially about this COVID year, if you like, has been to find out that I do have a lot of inner strength. I do have resilience, and that I can deal with something that's shaking my world upside down. I can deal with it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether I consider I've dealt with it well or poorly or whatever. That's not the issue. Rafe's bringing it to me over and over. I've dealt with it, and that's part of what we have to start thinking is, yeah, I have dealt with it. doesn't matter how I got through, but I got through. And that's a really important gift of our spiritual selves, to have that faith and trust in ourselves that we can get through even the hardest challenges. It's very hard to do it without hope. And I really understand that. I do quite a lot of healing, distant healing, and especially where people have lost hope and situations appear hopeless. Because at the end of the day, one of the things that is so vital is to recognise that we survive, we get through, we're tested, but we don't break. And I used to have these backwards and forwards with Rafe. Why are we tested? Why do we have to have this sort of extreme pressure brought to bear? And he used to smile and say, but do you want to grow? Do you want to find within you your strengths? Do you want to acknowledge all that you can be? If so, understand that these tests come to show you that you are someone who is able to get through. I I used to argue back at him very strongly. And sometimes I laugh because I've had 2 bouts of clinical depression. So coming into something as extreme as COVID and the lockdown situations certainly would have been a question mark to me about, will I manage? But something in me that's been learned through those previous situations has made this situation far more easy to cope with and to get through. So I know that I've grown in a sort of strange way. I know that I've grown. So when you look at what's been happening over the last week for you, try to remember it's showing you where you have grown. It's also showing you whereabouts there's still room for growth. Now I'm laughing as Rafe's telling me to say that, because I'm thinking, I don't want to grow anymore. Could I not stop growing for a bit? And of course, life's never like that. We grow every moment of our lives. We learn something new about ourselves and about the internal workings of our personality and our spirit, trying to drive this vehicle together. And we're always growing because we are learning and we are experiencing. And even here sitting in my kitchen laughing in my head at the fact that Facebook yet again has kind of not done what it's supposed to do, but at least I'm on YouTube. It's kind of like, oh, okay. I'm learning about me and I'm learning about my resilience. And I think that's such an important thing that the guides want us to develop. And I know that Rafe talks about it a lot. It's been interesting because I was chatting to him earlier today, knowing I was going to do the letters from the light side. I said to him, where are all the rest of them? Because I'm quite used to the archangels popping in and out and being very present. And I said, it's been a bit quiet these last couple of weeks. What's going on? And he was just beaming away at me and sort of saying, well, they're still there. And yes, I know they're still there. But it's interesting when there's a little bit of an absence of guidance in that way. And he was smiling and he was telling me that we are being helped on so many levels. But sometimes our guides do have to give the impression that they've stepped back a little, because that's when we're dealing with the work that's come from the guidance that they've given. And I do have to agree, whenever my guides come in, and especially when the archangels come in, that means there's some work to be done, work on me, in order to be able to contribute more or serve more to the people on the planet, or channel better information, or channel more energy. And I've been doing a lot of energy healing, as I said earlier. So I do want to reassure you, if you're sitting sometimes thinking, well, where are they? Why aren't they talking to me? They're there, but you're doing some inner work that they need you to do in order to be a better you, in order to be able to feel their connection stronger, and in order to trust your intuition. It's one of the things that I find quite frustrating, but nice in another way, and that is that until you trust your intuition, you don't really get the deepest connection with your guides. So sometimes it feels like they're here for a bit and they're gone for a bit, and then they're here for a bit and they're gone for a bit. But it's to help you to do that development, to do that connecting in a different way, so that you can work on the inner you. And Rafe wants to talk about that in the coming week. It is about work on the inner you. We still haven't got a kind of human agreement about how to deal with the issue of COVID. We still haven't got a human agreement on how to create a society where the vulnerable are at the forefront of the choices we make. And in order to move the ascension process on, we've got to start changing that, and we've got to start changing from inside. So over the coming week, just be aware that your guides are going to be with you, nudging you to value yourself and to love yourself, and to start seeing what wonderful contribution you're already making. I think we forget that sometimes. We forget, one of the beautiful things that I do get in the feedback and the comments here is people enjoy the laughter, and it's Rafe who always makes me laugh. He's whittering in my ear half the time, and I'm trying to pass on what he's saying. and sometimes we don't realise just how powerful and positive our impact can be on other people. We don't stop and pause and recognise that, and work at thinking, well, how can I share more of that? How can I share the good stuff that I can do? Is it to be, someone who is caring for the planet, or doing some activism for the planet? Is it to be someone who shares a smile and a joke and lifts people that they chat to? Is it someone who has a lovely listening ear and just inspires in their energy people to offload, just let them say things they might never get a chance to say? All of these lovely things that we do, that we can be part of, that we don't even know we're doing. And this coming week is about riding out more storms. The stormy energy is still with us. It's still turbulent. There's still lots and lots of fear, lots of I want to say headless chicken stuff going on, because there is. We're not being led well, and we're not being encouraged to contribute well, and we're being pushed to be divided rather than together. And I've spoken about that from the guides in other letters. I know Rafe's reminding me. It's one of the threads of the message, that not always do we find that we're doing the right thing, because sometimes we're very scrambled about what is the right thing. But as things come up in your life over the next week or so, it's time to remember to take action in the best way you can, not to keep running around in worry and anxiety and fear, blocking yourself from finding the good options. And there are options, there are always options. I'm sure Rafe works with me because I've always had that view. I suppose I am an optimistic person, never mind the bouts of pessimism. I am an optimistic person, and I don't believe that there's a puzzle we can't solve because we're intelligent. All human beings are intelligent. We don't give ourselves enough credit. We look at book learning as the measure of intelligence. Rafe says, no, look at your creativity. Sorry, I'm smiling because it's no wonder we're on the 3rd of the 6th and it adds up to a 3 at the end, because 3 is the number of creativity. 6 is the extra kick and boost that you get from creativity. So there's lots and lots we can create. We are able to, as human beings, we find solutions for all sorts of things. Maybe we're not looking at the things that need solutions that we're avoiding. Maybe that's what we're going to have to do over the next few months, is to look creatively at what is feeling resistance in our lives. Rafe always says to me, nothing's actually wrong. You need to change your point of view. And then you need to work out why you're resisting these aspects in your life. It's not easy. And I'm laughing because he just said, and that's why I bring Mercury retrograde up all the time. Because that is the time to look at the resistance and the perseverance. Because I had a terrible time last week trying to get Light Side out into the world, trying to get something posted. But in the end, it happened. I was so very proud of myself and pleased. It happened because it's that recognition that if I can do a little bit of good somehow, in any way, if they ask me to do it, I'll do it. And solving a problem and looking at it differently and finding where I'm resisting or blocking off or hiding from a particular solution. You know, just give yourself a little bit of a think over the next few days. Are you really happy with the solution that's presented? Because sometimes we're not. We just think, oh no, that's not the way I want to do it. And yet the universe is saying, please do it this way, because actually it'll mean everything else works out as well. And we go, no, I don't think I'm going to do it that way. I'm an expert at that, a total expert. However, when we pause and go, oh, all right then, I'll try it. You can tell I try things sometimes very reluctantly. And Rafe's forever on my case. When we do it, what surprises us is how easily it all flows. And when you look back at the patterns that you used to have, recognize where you made it flow a little bit harder. Maybe you resisted something that was really obvious. Now you can look back and see it. Maybe you were making your life harder than it needed to be. It's an interesting point. It's something that if the archangels were here, they'd probably have lots to say, because I know that their view is, as human beings, we do tend to make it much harder on ourselves than we need to because of judgment and because of expectation. However, all we ever have to be is good enough. All we ever have to do is be our best in the moment. Not perfect, not best ever. Being what we can be in that moment of time. That's what we need to do. So, for the coming week, whenever you're presented with something, either to think about or to choose or a problem or issue to solve, allow yourself the space to be good enough. Allow yourself the time to say, I have a solution. It might not be the best right now. It might not work out to be the best, but I'm going to do it anyway. Because all I have to do is keep going. Use my inner strength and resilience. Hope for the best. Really hope for the best. Because sometimes the best happens and you're caught totally by surprise, but you want it more. So, remember to clean out the clutter within you, whatever is resisting letting go, whatever in you is no longer you, just let it go. Take that longer view. You're here to have a good life. I do not believe we set off with the intention to have a bad life. You're here to have a good life. The choices you make aren't set in concrete. You can always make a different choice. If you remind yourself, I only have to be good enough for now, for this minute, for this moment. That's all it is. When I come on these broadcasts, whoever steps in, and tonight it's Ray, everybody who steps in reminds me, don't worry, Annie. You'll be good enough, you'll do it, it's fine. However it comes out, it'll be what's needed. And that's what I trust. So, don't buy into the fear. There's still a lot of fear floating around over the next week. Let the truth emerge. Don't judge it. Just let it emerge. Now is not the time to react to what we're facing. When we see the truth, when it finally comes to light, we have to pause and give it consideration, and then we can look at what we want to do. Always take the time when you find new information to process it. You don't have to make an instant decision in your life on anything, because all you have to do is be good enough in the end. So, have a good week. I will be back next week at my usual 8:30, and I'll be live streaming on YouTube, and if I can solve whatever's wrong with Facebook, I'll solve Facebook somehow. It's probably changed the way it does things and it's not telling me. But anyway, have a good week. Remember your guides are with you. Remember their love and support, and that the healing is always there. The undercurrent of everything in this world is the love that's underneath. So much love, so much love. Take care, everyone. Bye.